The basilia, you can approach them quite closely, but there's such a beautiful bird. Just going to get an establishing shot from here, and then I will try edge a little bit closer. Doing a bit of morning preening, and there you go. Oh, morning ablutions. So I'm just going to sneak a little bit closer. And it is, we've had some really good luck with bateleurs. And if you stop quite a distance away and then you come in slowly like this, you can get quite close to them without them flying. Very interesting bird, related to snake eagles, or it is actually a type of snake eagle, although it does eat snakes, but not that often. Expert at finding carcasses, and generally they'll find the carcasses before vultures. Oh, off he goes. Was it he or she? I couldn't see. Off to the next dead tree. And so it's saying very, very good at finding generally the first sort of bird to find a carcass. And they'll try normally eat the eyes out and around the anus and the softer parts, because they don't have the strongest beak, but they do generally get enough nourishment from that. They also do hunt smaller animals and snakes, but they specialize in finding carcasses. Incredible eyesight, and their name bateleur is a derivative of a French word for tightrope walker, because they've got such a short tail. When you watch them fly, they sort of always look like they're balancing like a tightrope walker. But nice bird. I think we might get another view of him as we come around the corner. But where he is now, I don't think he's on a carcass. I think he roosted in one of these dead trees in this area. Just going to stop a little bit further away. So we'll be waiting for it to warm up. Oh, he's got a fork-tailed dronga. Fork-tailed drongas love to harass predatory bird species. Here we go, dive bomb, and chase away, get away from me. So even though a bateleur poses almost zero threat to a fork-tailed dronga, they will give them an incredibly hard time. I know with both Scott and myself, we've seen fork-tailed drongas harassing Verreaux's eagle owl recently, but they are very, very good at harassing predatory birds. Even from tiny owls to great big martial eagles. The fork-tailed dronga is probably one of the more irritating birds if you're a bird of prey. And he's and he's chasing him again. That dronga, harassing him. He'll probably find the dronga. There we go. The dronga is now turned back. The predatory bird has left his zone, and job well done if you're a drongo. Removed the potential danger.
You may see a rutting display, and it really is an interesting event, this, because they are competing at the moment for rights over females, and what they'll be doing is fighting over good territories or patches of land initially, and once they've secured that land, they then try and keep females there. Now there's no females in the area, but the male at the back of these two that's following them appears to be the one who's dominant and chasing them. I'm just going to try and follow them, and let's see if we don't get lucky. They make a crazy gurgling, burping roar as they chase one another around, and this open clearing around the airstrip is the perfect place for us to share this wild. I'm just going to try and link slightly ahead of them in the hope that if they do in fact chase one another, we're going to be in the right place to show you the action. Well, this is the closest they've come to one another so far, and I'm guessing that the proximity that they have created to one another is going to hopefully cause an increase in the likelihood of a small rutting charge. Oh wow, look at this! This is awesome. There's a baboon spider crossing the airstrip. This is going to be awesome. It's huge! You see it, Vivian? Look at the size of this thing. Wow. Certainly didn't expect to find this here. How cool is that? It's the same family as tarantulas. We just call them baboon spiders because of their hairy appearance, and also their padded feet are similar to that of a baboon's, just a much smaller scale. And they typically live in burrows, and they only actually have one set of teeth that allows them to dig their initial burrow. Thereafter they have to rely on finding pre-made burrows, and it's interesting that this one is out of its burrow. It could be searching for a mate, and I'm guessing that that's what's happening here. I'm going to try and get out and get a bit closer to it and see how it reacts, and also that way give you an idea of how big it is compared to my hand. So you can see it's very large, and I'm just going to try and coax it along a bit closer towards you. Woo! Now, as you can see, it could bite me, and there you can see its fangs. Look at its fangs there. Absolutely awesome. You wouldn't want to be bitten by those, but they aren't venomous, so you don't have to worry if they do bite you. It's simply going to hurt. It's not going to cause any problems. They do not have any venom. Well, that's a serious display that we're getting to see here. And I don't like to interfere with animals and cause them to be unhappy or distressed, but it's important to remember that they do come across other animals, and they do have to perform just like this in order to stay alive. I'm going to leave it now though. We've had a good look at it, and I want it to relax and carry on with its day. Wow, that seriously is awesome. And I'm not sure exactly which baboon spider it is. I'm a little bit rusty on that, but if any of you are well versed in arachnids, I'd be interested to hear which baboon spider you think this is. I think it could be called a golden baboon spider or a brown baboon spider, but I'm taking absolute guesses. I need to get the old spider book out and find out about that. Where have the impala gone? Well, the impala got upstaged by this baboon spider. It's the first one that I've managed to share with any of you on the show, and what an unlikely place to find it, crossing an airstrip. I'm wondering if we can get a little bit closer to try and show you a better view. So I'm just going to try that quickly. Oh, well, there's an airplane coming past, so I may need to get off the airstrip. too close. It's a grand caravan. Do you want to try and get this one?
We're still looking for an insect. Let me just get to the water's edge. There might be some boatmen or other aquatic insects. What? Welcome back, guys. We've unfortunately not been able to find any tracks. We're now in the area of Twin Dams, and apparently you guys out there would like to have an insect quiz. And I'm busy searching low and high for some insects at the moment, but I will keep my eyes open, trying to see maybe we might find an insect or three at the edge of the water in Canada. Can you guys tell me what is the difference between an African honeybee and an African killer bee? So what is the difference between an African honeybee and an African killer bee? And you can send your answers to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter. What is the difference between an African honeybee and an African killer bee? Penny from Texas. Penny would like to know what small animal fascinates me most. Wow, Penny, that is a question. I'm fascinated by so many of the small animals, but I think the group of small animals that I have quite an affinity for, and I really like studying a bit closely and looking at, are frogs. Just incredible diversity in frogs, and also incredible diversity in their sort of breeding habits and vocalizations. Sorry, Penny, I'm going to carry on talking. I'm just about to go through a dip. We might have a little bit of signal breakup, so I will carry on talking once we're through. Okay, Penny, back with you now. So I was saying frogs. I mean, there's such an amazing array of frogs out here. I mean, and in the summer months, the chorus of the frogs around the pans is just incredible. It's probably one of the best sounds to go to sleep to in the world. And also how the different dynamics work between different frogs of different species and frogs of the same species. So you've got a thing that's called timeshare calling, which is quite common in quite a lot of species in this area. And what that is it'll be males of all the same species, and they make sure they don't call over each other. Obviously the female quite often chooses based on who's got the best vocalization, the best singing voice. So they'll sort of one go and then she gets to choose, but they'll never call over each other. It's called timeshare calling, which is incredible. And then I think those of you who've been watching for a while, when it first arrived, it's still raining and a lot of frogs around, and one of my favorite sounds in the world is the call of a banded rubber frog. I actually do have my frog book with me, so I will find a picture of that banded rubber frog just now. But the call is one of my favorites, and it really lets me know I'm sort of back in the bush. And the call goes like this. And I really, really do love that call. So I'm just gonna let let you know we are checking very carefully for actually anything right now. Oh, and there we go. Ask and you shall receive. A female Nyala, and this is quite nice to tie in with the male Nyala we saw yesterday. Do you want me to move a bit there, Brian?
Yeah.
Do you want, that we saw this morning earlier, we saw those two male Nyala, a dark chocolate brown coat, and now we can see there's a beautiful female and that sort of burnt amber orange coat. They do have the same sort of sets of stripes, but the coloration is completely different, and we spoke about how that was for the males to be able to sort of have their sort of model show off without physically fighting, and they prefer to sort of have a who's the prettiest competition, a beauty pageant. But here's the female that has caused all the beauty pageants, or not this particular, but the females in general, and they are very, very beautiful. And you see how their skin sort of shivers like that from time to time, and that's a mechanism to try to keep the flies off them. They are beautiful animals, and just look how alert they are. Those ears are constantly on the move, checking, listening for potential threats. So they're moving along the edge of this drainage line, slowly browsing, and they are one of the more common antelope species we have here, but definitely always great to stop and have a look at them. They're disappearing into a slightly thicker area. Penny, I'm just looking for a picture of that banded rubber frog, the one I was imitating earlier, but I was trying to do it the silly way and quick way instead of using the index. So I'm going to go back to the proper way. There we go. So the other nice thing about the banded rubber frog is it looks very similar to the poison arrow frogs from South America, and it is noxious. So there's a Nyala disappearing, a little bit of sunlight breaking through the clouds. And there's a nice picture of a banded rubber frog. Very, very pretty frog. Red and black coloring. And there's a nice question for you guys. You see red and black coloring in insects and certain frog species, and also in arachnids and spiders, and there's a specific word for this type of coloring. It's warning predators that they are potentially noxious or poisonous. And can anyone remember what that word is? What is the coloring? So black, red, orange, very common in butterflies, certain frog species, spiders. What is the name of that coloring? And you can send your answers to questions at WildEarthTV on email, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter. But in the meantime, we're going to carry on checking if we can find any tracks and stopping to have a look at all the other animals that are out here with us. So we've got some answers in for the killer bee question. It looks like most of you got it right. There is no difference between an African killer bee and African honeybee. They are just they're much more aggressive than the European honeybee, which occurs naturally in North America and Europe. But they are far more aggressive, and in swarms they can kill you, especially if you are allergic to bees. But I mean, they are our normal honeybee we get out here, and so there's no difference between the African killer bee and the African honeybee. There are some people who are talking about hybrids that were bred. As far as I know, these hybridizations, I'm sure some people have tried to hybridize the bees before, but quite a lot of those hybridizations happen naturally. Well, not naturally, because the African honeybee was moved by people into Europe and to North America, but even then they are so closely related that hybridizations can happen naturally. Just checking this junction. Where are these leopards hiding? Up in the tree on the left there, Brian. There's a couple of small little birds. So we've got a very pretty little bird in the tree there, and that is a male. It's a little species of flycatcher called a batis, and it's a chin spot batis. The female's got a very distinct, there he is, very distinct sort of brown spot under the chin. I'll be back to the batis in a second. Go ahead, Scott. They're very beautiful little flycatchers. Quite interesting how they build their nests. They actually gather spider webs and use the spider webs to sort of glue the outside of their nest to keep it quite solid. Standing by, Scott. And I'm trying to see, the female will probably be quite close around the male. There's a bit of preening. Oh! And also, one of the more common calls you'll hear in the African bush, and we can actually hear them calling now.
There you are. I'm just on Treehouse Road, heading towards Treehouse Pan from Shabam.
Copy. Elephant Skull Junction Weaver's Nest. I checked around Trin Dams. I'm probably going to head towards Chele Pan, and then maybe check Batalea, one of the roads we don't check too often. So as I was saying, now obviously the batis has decided to stop calling, but I'm sure quite a few of you, there we go. I'm going to try it. He's calling now. I'm going to imitate the call, so maybe you guys will be able to hear the call. And it sounds like a very old nursery rhyme, and that's how I got taught to remember it when I was young. And it's not doing the full call at the moment, so I'm just going to get Brian to put the camera in the general direction of where it's calling. So, and the batis has popped back into sight. How very kind of him. But on the next to the snobthorn, in the small, there we go, there he is. And not doing the full call, but you'll hear the gist of it. I'm going to imitate it now, and the call goes. Three blind mice is what we often, and that's how I was taught to remember the call of the chin spot batis. He's not doing the full call this morning, only doing half or 3/4. Blind mice, see how they run. Ready, rap. Moving on from the three blind mice bird, or better known as the chin spot batis, we're going to check towards Chele pan, and I've heard we've got some answers for the frog question about what that type of colouring means. And Sam, well done. Oh, you answered correctly. It's aposematic colouring, which means danger or warning. I know a lot of you guys said danger or warning, but I did say that while I was speaking. I was looking for the term for that type of coloration, so well done to you guys. Aposematic coloration, and it is a very interesting. So, for and Diane and Sam, well done guys. Aposematic colouring. Dance Anyway, welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Dance Anyway would like to know, I'm not going to try and repeat that disease that I just heard in my ear, very, very long, but I know it is a fungal disease that affects frogs, I know particularly in South America, which causes them to die. It sort of dries out their skin. Now, Dance Anyway, as far as my understanding about this disease is, if I remember correctly, it comes from cane toads. Not cane toads. Anyway, a frog species that was introduced from either Australia or South Africa. Or Africa into the Central Americas, and our frogs have evolved with this fungus that causes the disease, that dries out their skin. So our frogs are immune to it. So our frog populations are pretty healthy. The things that affect our frog populations are more sort of development and people, agriculture, fertilizers, things like that. But in total, apart from some very rare frogs that only occur in very niche habitats or some in the Drakensberg mountain, they're called ghost frogs, and also in the mountains around Cape Town. Our frog population are generally quite safe, but so they actually can carry that fungus and stuff without it actually affecting them. So quite interestingly, and it shows how us moving things between places can have a very, very detrimental effect on the environment. But we're going to continue looking. Literally, I think Scotty is in the same boat as me. We're struggling for tracks this morning, but it doesn't mean there isn't stuff out there that we can talk about. There's so much fascinating stuff around. So we're going to carry on down towards the Mulwati Range line, and we're going to cross over to Scotty, see what he's been up to and what he might have. So enjoy it with Scott, and we'll be back with you a little later.
Welcome back everyone, and Viam and myself have made it back onto Djuma now, and the plan is to, in accordance with Brent, try and cover as much of the property that hasn't been covered this morning. So we'll be trying to chat. Our Game Drive channel is causing a little bit of trouble. I think you could hear me chatting to Brent earlier, but I was copying none of his updates back to me. Anyway, it is in the process of getting fine-tuned, but making our lives a little bit more tricky in the meantime, because it is critical for us to be able to chat amongst one another and know where he's searching, where he has searched, and that way we can try and divide and conquer and check different areas of the property. It's not only about checking different areas, but by knowing that he has driven down a particular road in the morning, if we were to drive down that same road later and find any tracks on that road, we would know that they're very fresh, because the animal's footprints would be on top of Brent's tire marks, for example. So, just a further update on the leopards that were mating at Arathusa Dam. I stopped and had a chat with one of the guides who was having his tea and coffee break on the airstrip, and he said that it was indeed Karula and Tingana that continue to mate. Now, again, really interesting, and we can only guess as to what exactly is going on there. It was believed that Karula, the same female leopard, after she had given birth to her third litter, that she did mate with the male to give him the false sense of fathership, and therefore he wouldn't kill those cubs even if they weren't his own, because you'd kind of get confused and think that, well, he mated with her, so they must be his cubs. She may be doing the same thing with Tingana now, but the fact that she's been with him for, it sounds like 48 hours, means that I'm not sure that she does have cubs, and if she did give birth to cubs, she may have already lost them. Anyway, only time will tell, and those are just my thoughts on the matter. But I can confirm that it was Karula and Tingana. They headed south away from the dam and onto another property where we cannot go, sadly. Sandy in Texas, good morning and welcome on board. Sandy would like to know if we've got any further updates on the Matimba Male Lion Coalition. We believe one of them did come onto our property 2 nights ago. We couldn't track him down. His tracks were zigzagging up and down, and we are told that they've been chased by 2 of the Styx Coalition male lions. So these Matimba males sound like they have some trouble on the way, some competition. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens as the weeks and months unfold. It is normal for dominant males to become old and eventually lose the territory, and that may be happening now with the Matimba males. But sadly, Sandy, we don't have a clue where they are. Not the faintest idea. Again, the problems we're having with our radio networks are making it very difficult for us to communicate with the guides. There's different channels for different traversing areas. So we have 2 different traversing areas, one on Djuma and one on Arathusa. And when we go across to Arathusa, we switch over to a different channel. And there's various other lodges that have got access to even more traversing areas, and therefore there are more radio networks than just what we have. And at the moment, sorry?
Steenbuck.
Liam spotted a steenbuck. Quite a shy and secretive little antelope. Oh, well spotted. And there you can see it's fully grown. Oh, has it run off? No, it's still there. Now that's a female steenbuck. You can tell quite easily because she doesn't have horns. Interestingly enough though, despite the fact that she doesn't have horns, they still compete with males for territory, which is really interesting. So often you find males and females chasing one another around. Usually it's males that will compete with males and females with females. But this little antelope is a little bit different. There often is a male in attendance with them. And until she just shook her head there, I thought she was playing dead, and that's often what antelope will do when they are nervous. They'll stand dead still, relying on their camouflage to help them try and evade predators. Okay, well, we'll leave her and her statue-like pose and see what else is lurking around this area. The plan is to head towards Impala Plains, which is a road that takes us closest to our northwestern kind of boundary. It's an area that, as far as I'm aware, has not been checked yet this morning. Let me see if I can get a hold of Brent. Brent, what's got? Brent, what's got? I'm not copying you. Just for the record, you can copy me. It would be really useful for me to know where Brent is at the moment, and I'm sure Tara and Nikki are busy getting an update from him. And he's at Djuma Dam, so he's in the center of our property, which is great. At least we are in different areas. And hopefully he'll find something there. There were some reports of potentially some cats around Djuma Dam early last night, so I'm sure Brent is going to be scanning carefully for them. You'll probably hear a plane flying over. That's the same plane we saw fly past the Aircruiser airstrip, and it came to drop off some guests. I had to, as quickly and effectively as I could, try and usher that spider across the airstrip before the plane landed, which made for an exciting few moments, because I certainly didn't want to get stuck on the airstrip as the plane was landing, for obvious reasons. But we managed to get the spider into the clear, and really happy that we got to see one of those baboon spiders. You very seldom see them out their holes. Having said that though, in the last few weeks this is the third one that I've seen out of its burrow, so I'm guessing it's the mating season for them. And again, if any of you have managed to establish which kind of baboon spider it is, it would be really wonderful. There's some oxpeckers that you would have heard chirping, and I wonder where they've come from. They are such great indicators for us in finding the herbivores. They don't glean ticks off the predators, but there could be some buffalo or any antelope really in this area. We'll keep an eye out as we proceed. wondering if it's worth us popping into the hyena den sites again to see if the adults have returned home. And I think we should. We were here about an hour ago, possibly a little bit more than that, and there was nobody home, but that could well have changed. Tina in Houston would like to know about the Steenbuck's relationships between males and females, and whether they're monogamous, and if when one member of a monogamous relationship dies, what will the animals do? And even though they may partner with pairs for life, if they lose a partner, they may find another single animal and continue their monogamy just with another animal. I am not actually certain that Steenbuck are monogamous though. They could be, but I don't think it's necessarily the case. Again, I am battling to pull out the relevant files from my memory bank on these finer details, but I would suggest double checking whether in fact they are monogamous. They may not be. Well, it's fair to say that there's no hyenas at the den sites, and I believe Brent has confirmed that they are indeed monogamous. So there we go, that answers that question. According to Brent, they are monogamous, and it'll be interesting to hear what Brent thinks on this. What would happen when one individual from a monogamous pair dies? What would happen? But I'm guessing they're going to find a suitable substitute and continue spending time with them. Anyway, let's cut over to Brent and see what he has to say about that, and we will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, the big black backside of a buffalo bull. We've found a few of these buffalo bulls around here, making their way off the crest. I don't know, those who were on the sunset safari last night, we saw those buffalo bulls moving away from the dams and drainage lines up onto the higher ground, because it is much warmer on the higher ground during the night, and now they're slowly making their way down towards the Gowrie Dam. So we actually saw, when we arrived, one of these buffalo. I'm just going to move so you can get a better shot of them, and also to grab a piece of grass that we noticed the buffalo was feeding on when we arrived. There's another one coming into shot there, but this is it's very late in the season, so I'm going to lie it down so it'll probably be easier, because my shaky hands will make it difficult for Brian to focus on it. So this is the grass that the buffalo was eating. It is, oh, the wind's even making it a little bit shaky, but it is part of the Eragrostis family, and very distinct seeds. This one doesn't really look like it should be part of the Eragrostis because it's got very long, narrow seeds, but obviously the main one, which is one of the more common species, and probably the one where one of the species that helped Eragrostis get their name, so is obviously they're named after Eros. If I remember correctly, it was the Greek goddess of love, and So Eragrostis, because the heart-shaped lovegrass has a very distinct heart of the seeds, and so the whole family of grasses named after one of those. That there's quite a few of them that have the heart-shaped leaves. It is quite difficult. I think this particular one is Eragrostis cavella. The ends of the leaves lower down tend to curve, and especially when they're younger, it's far more noticeable. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm a bit rusty on my grasses, but it's definitely Eragrostis family. But which Eragrostis? I think it's cavella, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is quite a good grass species. So believe it or not, you have good grass and bad grass when it comes to grazing. And in the more technical terms, we call them increases and decreaser grass species. And surprisingly enough, the decreaser grass species are better than the increaser species. And most Eragrostis species are what you would call decreasers. So what happens is they're quite high in nutrients, and they are favored by most of your grazers. But the problem is if an area is overgrazed, which doesn't really happen too much here because we're in a natural system, but sort of in the farming areas, they are the first species to decrease. And to take their place is normally increaser species, and these species are a lot more hardy but also a lot less palatable, and they sort of take over and actually lower the amount of value in the grassland because they are not very palatable. Be things like thatching grass and stuff like that have got a very unpalatable to animals. So the decreaser species, which are the good grasses, need to be grazed and kept short, and that keeps them growing and whatnot. So it's a very fine line when you're not in a natural system like we are to whether the grass has been grazed just at the right amount to keep it increasing, or it's been grazed too much and it starts disappearing and the less sought after grass species start taking over. Anyway, there's that little... Thank you, Mr. Buffalo, for showing us the Eragrostis and giving us a chance to have a look at some grass for a change. I mean, we see it all the time, but we never really chat about it. Hi Tina, from Houston. We're just following up on a question that Scott was answering. What Steenbok would do is there are monogamous antelope species that if one member of the pair were to be killed, Tina, as far as I know, they would seek out another mate in that situation. I'm pretty sure on that they would seek out another mate. I hope that helps, and thanks Scotty for sending it over. So just to let you know what we're doing now, it's been a sort of a drought of tracks this morning, so we're very slowly moving along the edge of the Mvubu drainage, which is the drainage line that runs into the Djuma Cam Dam, that area. It's also known as Gowrie Dam. So just trying to make sure that we haven't missed leopard tracks somewhere. And also, but even though there aren't any of the big and scaries around this morning, it's been fantastic to be able to go a little bit more in depth into everything around us. And Penny, I think you started quite a thing for me going off on frogs, so a little bit later I've got another frog surprise, thanks to Brian as well, but we will cover that a little bit later just to whet your appetite a little bit. We've got another frog surprise a little bit later. Hi, Sibusiso from Hammanskraal, just outside Pretoria, in South Africa. Sibusiso says he's got a beehive on his farm, and about 2 months ago, a snake took up residence in this hive, and he would like to know, is this bad for his hive? Do bees sting snakes? And wow, that's really interesting. I've never heard of that before, Sibusiso. And obviously it's very difficult for me to know exactly without knowing what species of snake. I know there are certain snake species like slug eaters and that might possibly feed off bee larvae. And I think in those circumstances, they might attack the snake, but it sounds like the snake's been there for 2 months, so it's really, really unusual. I've never ever heard of anything like this. So obviously the snake's not affecting the bees, because otherwise they probably would sting it and try and push it out. I think, Sibusiso, the most dangerous thing is, I don't think it's particularly bad for your hive. In some ways it might be beneficial. No, maybe not. But I don't know. Geez, that's a really, really, really interesting scenario. Just give me a second. I'm just thinking a little bit about this. But I think definitely from a danger point of view, the biggest danger in this scenario would be to you if you're going to harvest that honey and it is a venomous snake. So it might actually be worth getting hold of someone in the Hammanskraal area. I'm sure there's someone in that area around Dinokeng that would probably happily come help you remove that snake. But I don't think if the bees are happy with it and have been happy with it for 2 months, it's probably not doing any harm to your beehive. But I would be careful when you go to harvest the honey, in case it is a venomous species, like an Egyptian or a snouted cobra. Hammanskraal, you get snouted cobra, Mozambique spitting cobra, mamba, black mambas as well. So I think that's probably the biggest danger would be to you when you go collect that delicious honey. So it's warming up a little bit. Still nip in the air, but it is warming up. Hi, Murray from Alberta in Canada. Murray would like to know, are there any hares or rabbits in the park, and what type of breeds do we get? We only have one species in this particular area, and it is called a scrub hare. So no rabbits, only a hare, and that's the only breed we get here, a scrub hare. And that's just given me a good idea for another quiz. Who can tell me the difference between a hare and a rabbit? The major differences between a hare and a rabbit. To preempt, I know a lot of answers. I'm going to tell you African hares and rabbits can look very, very similar. And it's to do with how they that's giving away a bit too much. It's to do with breeding. Let's just leave it at that. And what comes after breeding. So what is the difference between a hare and a rabbit? And you can send your answers to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So there we go. We got a quiz and we got a frog surprise. Morning's hotting up. So while we check this area that when Steph and Scott and myself were tracking a lot, we called the black zone, the dark zone, where lots of tracks went in and we could never find the animals. So hopefully there's a light breaking through the cloud onto this area, and we do find some tracks or some animals here. We're going to cross across to Scotty and see what he's been up to. and we'll catch up with you a little later.
Welcome back, everyone. And I'm just checking this stretch of road very carefully for tracks. There's a lot of hyena tracks heading up and down on this road. And I'm just trying to see if there's any other predator tracks here, which may help try and piece together the puzzle as to why there's been a lot of hyena activity in this area. It could simply be that this was a path they decided to take in search of potential food or scavenging opportunities. But there's also a chance that they've headed into this area with the knowledge that there is something here, be it by their smell or their hearing. They may know that something happened here. So we're just going to continue to drive through, checking for tracks and anything interesting. Other than that, not too many updates from Wim and myself. We are heading through Impala Plains, and hopefully we will find a large herd of Impala that do often spend time here, and that way hopefully be able to show you some Impala rutting. It is the rutting season, and we just need to find the right herd of Impala that's where there's enough females creating the males to chase one another around frantically, trying to ensure that it is them that get the mating rights. It's often in these areas where you do find rutting Impala that you may also find predators, especially at this time of the year. They lion and leopard know when they hear the Impala rutting, it's an easy target because the males are so caught up in their own disputes that they may not notice the predator's approach. Got a question through from Charles on Twitter. Morning, Charles. Charles is noticing that there's lots of dung that we find and see along the roads, and here's some more here. It's not quite on the road, it's just off it, but it's certainly useful for reading into what animals have been moving through the area. All these little pellets you can see are from Impala, and on closer inspection in this Impala midden, you'll notice that, I'm just going to get out to show you, you will notice that some of the dung is fresh and some of it is old and not fresh. So these shiny black ones here that you can see are the fresher ones, whereas others, like these over here on the outskirts, are very dry and not fresh. So what Impala will do is they will specifically scent mark in these middens. And just so that you know, midden is a term used for any of the herbivores' places of where they go to the toilets, and it's when they use a set place. So Impala use middens. When predators also use set areas to defecate, that's called the latrine. So other Impala that come through this area will be able to walk past, sniff, tell who's been here, be able to tell what's going on, and read into these kind of like little snippets of news relating to what exactly species, or their same species, have been up to. Rhino will do the same. Steenbuck, the small antelope we saw earlier, will also use set middens, which help markate territories and also just provide information hotspots. some animals running here, one of which is a wildebeest, I think. Yeah, it's all wildebeest, it appears, running in this area. And who knows what would have been chasing this wildebeest or what would have caused it to run. But again, it's useful to note the tracks of animals and try and piece together the puzzle. It doesn't always work out, but it certainly is worth trying. Here we have some more dung in the road, and this is from the wildebeest, possibly the same one that was running. And again, this is a midden. You can see the older dung scattered and broken up. It often gets broken up by birds that are searching for little insects that are breaking down the dung. But you can also see the very fresh, shiny black dung that is yet to be broken apart. And that belongs to the wildebeest. Well, folks, it sounds like Brent has found some action along the way, so we're going to cut across to him and see exactly what it is that he's found for you.
Welcome back, guys. We've just spotted a young elephant bull off in the bush, by himself from what we can see now, but it's possible he is around a breeding herd around the peripheries. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer, but if he shows us that he's uncomfortable with being followed, we'll leave him alone and maybe just loop up ahead a little bit, because if he is following a breeding herd, we might get lucky and catch them a little bit further ahead of him on the next road. But he looks like he's quite relaxed at the moment. And again, we don't ever want to push animals, so keeping my distance. It's very different when you find them on the road or you let the elephants come into your space. So I don't want to push him and push myself into his space, which might make him feel a little bit uncomfortable. So I guess he's probably late teens, between 16 and 20. Being pushed to the edge, the peripheries of the herd by the females, because he can be a bit too boisterous and whatnot around all the young ones. You can see he looked a little nervous earlier. He's calmed down now, and it's with an animal that shows you it's a little bit nervous initially. It's very important to do a slow approach, and you can tell quite quickly with elephants. They do have a lot of signs that let you know what sort of state of mind they're in, whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable. So when we first saw him, he was a little bit uncomfortable. That could possibly be because we came around a blind corner and suddenly we were very close to each other, so he got a little bit of a fright. So the first time I stopped to view him, I stopped at about 70, 80 meters, switched off the car, just started speaking nice and calmly, let him know that we're not a threat. And now we've moved a bit closer. We're probably about 30, 40 meters. And I'm just going to sit here for a little longer while he's feeding, and then just gauge his reaction. We might try to get a bit closer, but again, obviously we don't want to stress or pressure these animals we're viewing. You can see now its tail's sort of gone down. He's wagging it slowly, feeding slowly as he goes, so he's completely relaxed now. But because of that initial sort of shock of coming around the corner, I don't want to put any adverse pressure on him, and I'm still going to sit for a little bit longer and let him get very used to us being close to him before we try and move the vehicle again. Also, while we're doing that, I'm listening very carefully. Because you have a young bull of this age, they are sometimes completely alone, but normally they wouldn't be more than a couple of 100 meters from a breeding herd. So it is quite difficult to hear with the wind in the dry leaves, but we are also listening to see if there is possibly a breeding herd in the vicinity as well. So we just to let you know, we came into this area that Scott, Steph and myself, while we were tracking a lot, called sort of the black hole. We found lots of leopard tracks going in, but could never find the leopards. And I'm just off Gallagher shortcut, very close to Djuma Lodge and the quarantine clearings. So you can see his body language has changed. Another very important thing when you're approaching an animal, especially animals like elephants, when you initially see them, is how you drive up to them. You never want to... Oh, look at that. Another elephant. Just to the right of us. As I was saying, you never want to drive directly at the animal. That is a sort of threatening stance. Imagine if someone walked straight up to you and into your personal space, how you would feel about that. So you try to move away at sort of oblique angles to let them know that you're not trying to go straight into them. So there's another elephant coming through from the right. Another young bull. I'm just going to move the vehicle a little bit. Oh no, he's going to come to us. So when he stopped on a fallen down marula, he's going to have a good tummy scratch. Let me just try to see if we can get a better view of that. Just trying to find a gap in the bush here so we can get a better view. So when back a little bit. There we go. Oh, looks like he's finished his tummy scratch, but he actually stepped over that fallen down marula and just gave the tummy a good scratch. Elephants are very good at finding different trees and things. Oh, it looks like he's found a different scratching post now. He's going to move around behind another fallen down tree there. So another young Eddie bull, possibly on the, again, more than probably on the peripheries, although elephants at this age sometimes will form little bachelor groups when they have been pushed out of the breeding herds, just for a bit of company more than anything else. So we're sitting between the two bulls as they slowly feed. And you can see their body language is completely relaxed now. Again, that is very important in the way you approach animals, and specifically with elephants. And if they come into your space, not a problem, rather than you move into their space. going to maneuver again. Also, it's very important you let the car run for a few seconds before you move, just so you don't give them a fright. So start that noise and start moving immediately sometimes can give Ellies a big fright, and it can cause them to run away or become aggressive, and obviously neither of that is what we want. He gave us a little head shake there, reminding us he's a big, strong, powerful animal. It's not an aggressive thing, it's just a sort of say, hey, don't get too close. But you can see now his body language has changed. He's actually walking towards us. And there we go, he's smelling us now, making sure we're not a threat. It is always more difficult to follow elephants through thick bush. Sometimes just driving over a log or whatnot can give them a fright. You just got to be very careful and move very slowly and calmly around Ellies when you are off-road. As you can see, not a care in the world at the moment, apart from filling his belly. He uses his foot there as an anchor to help with his trunk to pull that bush willow branch off. Oh, look how amazing how dexterous that is now. He's going to put that into his mouth and basically roll it round and strip. There we go, you watch, he'll turn the branch with his trunk as he rolls it through his mouth, and he's stripping the bark off there. So what the elephants are after when they do that with bark is there's a thin layer under the bark between the sort of main woody part of the tree called the cambium layer, and that is the layer that transports all the nutrients that the roots gather from the soil and from water up to the rest of the tree, to the leaves and that. So that's what an elephant's after, and he's finished with one. And the next one. Swing it around. Thorn tree's trying to steal it from him. There we go. In position. And it's amazing how they use their trunk there to just twist it so they can sort of debark in a nice even fashion. There you can see how that bark's coming off, and you just left, oh, and he's dropped it. And you're left with a bare bit of branch. Oh, I don't know, who caught that flapping through the shot very briefly. It's back in shot, is it? See, it might fly into shot again. There we go, right at the bottom of the shot. Whoa! But that was an African monarch butterfly. Oh, it's coming in and out of shot constantly. So now that it's warmed up a little bit, and the butterflies have had a chance for their wings to dry, they'll start fluttering about. There are a few flower species that are still flowering, and that they will be feeding off. So these two boys are heading into some thicker stuff, and as I said, I don't want to really disturb them. We might just loop up a little bit ahead. There might be a breeding herd around, but we still have a frog surprise for you. So that was really nice little elephant interlude. Did that butterfly take off? Or is he still sitting in the ground there? We can try. They can be very difficult. I don't know if he took off. I'm just going to have a quick look. I thought I saw him. Nah, it looks like he's gone. Well, she's gone, actually. Sorry. There's a female monarch. You know what? Those two boys might come out on the road, so I'm going to shoot around to the road, and maybe we'll catch them out in the open. Coming through. So it looks like a nice group of young bulls. There's a breeding herd. So these bulls were at the front of, sorry, Brian, looking at elephants and not looking after my cameraman, nearly taking his head off with the tree. So they're actually in the front of the rest of the breeding herd, and now that we're heading back towards the road, we've come across the rest of the breeding herd. I have seen this herd before. I recognize this cow. She's got quite nice, long, even tusks. Just going to try and get a view of her. Again, off-roading with elephants, you've got to be very careful how you approach them, because crunching a branch in the wrong way might make them a little bit upset. But this cow I've seen quite a few times, and I've actually got some nice pictures of her before with that exact youngster. And she is a very, very relaxed old girl. Hi, Anna-Marie from New Jersey. Anna-Marie wants to know, is it going to be more difficult for elephants to find foliage and food as winter progresses? Yes and no, Anna-Marie. So elephants have quite an interesting adaptation. The fact is that during the summer months, 80% of their diet is made up of grass, and during the winter months, that changes, and about 80% of their diet is made up of trees. So that's how they cope with the change in seasons and finding enough food throughout the year. This young elephant, it looks like he's up to mischief. I think he's using that bush to stalk us. Probably a young boy, and he's trying to sort of sneak around. Oh, but we found him. I'm just going to move out onto the road again. There's another young elephant, even smaller elephant coming from in front of us, and there's another cow making her way straight towards us. Hi, Nele Bendet from Germany. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Nele, oh, watch my head. Would like to know all the ages of the elephant and asked how old the elephant was. I'm not sure which elephant we're referring to, so I'll try to give a general rundown on the elephants we can see here. Let me just see. So that little one there is probably close to a year, but still maybe under a year. One of the ways we tell young elephant ages is we compare them to their mothers. If they can still fit under the mother's belly, then it's generally under a year. That elephant to the right, in front of the little one, is now disappearing behind a bush, is probably around 4 or 5 years old. There's another young bull on the road, and he's probably around 10. And you can see these, if we swing back quickly to the two little ones, the one at the back's a little bit older, so maybe might not fit under the mom's belly anymore, or maybe he does, so also probably around a year. Oh, isn't that sweet? And then about to walk into shot is the mother of one of those two, and she is an adult. Difficult to say exactly, but she's definitely probably over 30, just judging from her size and tusks, so probably between 30 and 40. So full adult, and those are the only ones we can see. That other elephant we saw with the nice straight tusks, another one of the mothers of these two naughty little boys in front of us, is also probably around a similar age, somewhere between 30 and 40. And you can see the one closest to us at the back is a little bit older than the other. Just going to move around so we can get a better view again. In elephant ages, we can always sort of give a rough idea but unless they are sort of really little ones that we know can fit under mom's tummy, it's quite difficult to age. When an elephant gets older, you will start seeing some very distinct things. There's sort of hollows in the skull that start depressing, the skin starts to sag quite heavily, and then you know that animal is sort of probably over 50. Oh, there we go, end of branch. So unfortunately she is behind this bush here, but I have another elephant literally on the road in front of me, so I can't really move at the moment. There we go. Young female, probably around 5 or 6 years old. Hi Samantha and Herman Daba, who actually is an old Wild Earth cameraman who's teaching English in South Korea. Samantha is one of his students. She's 12. Hi, Samantha. Really great to have you on the live safari with us this morning. And she'd like to know the smallest of those ellies. How big is it? Now, Samantha, even though it's a baby elephant, it's still very heavy. It probably weighs around 100 kilograms. And there's just quite a few elephants around me. I'm trying to think of something I can use as a size reference. I'm just going to move again. Oh, there he is, popping into the gap. But there are more elephants coming from the left of me as well. I can hear them in the bushes and on the road. Let me try think about how I'm going to be able to show you Samantha. Probably just over a meter, maybe not even a meter. What we can do, Samantha, is once we get away from the elephants, where I can get out of the car, I can sort of give you to my hip how tall that elephant is. Liz from Wisconsin. Liz would like to know the size of an ellie's stomach. Wow, Liz, that is a good question. It is massive. So to give you an idea, we'll talk about an elephant bull. So that's probably the biggest. So nice to make comparison to a big elephant bull. Can eat up to 200 kilograms of vegetable matter in a day. So 200 kilograms, let me just do my pound conversion in my head quickly. 200 kilograms. So that's around 500 pounds. It's about 500 pounds, but we're just going to cross over to Scotty quickly, and then we'll be back. We're going to be staying with these elephants for a little bit, and then we're going to cross over to Scott now, so we'll see you back shortly.
Welcome back, folks, and I'm going to keep this brief because it sounds like you're having a great time with Brent and the elephants, but thanks so much for following this morning's drive. I hope you had a good time with us. Sorry for the delay with the flat tire in the beginning, and well done to VM on camera, and big thanks to Nikki and Tara in Final Control. We're saying goodbye and look forward to this afternoon's adventure.
Welcome back, everyone. We've managed to loop around on a road from where we first found the elephants, and we're back with these two youngsters and an adult female. And it's so amazing to be able to sit amongst a herd of elephants like this. As while we're sitting here with the elephants, I did ask a question about what was the difference between hares and rabbits. So I think while we're enjoying the elephant viewing, we're going to go through the answers on that. So Shanae and Penny, and there was one other who got it correct. And so sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm just listening to the radio. And look at this little guy. He's coming to have a look at us. So the correct answer was that hares are born as fully developed adults, miniature versions of the adults that can... Oh. Sorry, I'll get back to that, but this Ellie is just having a whale of a time next to us. He's lying down, eating on a little, looks like Rosis's creeper, but he's just playing now. But back to that, basically they are fully developed miniature versions of the adults, and they're able to run within minutes of birth, where rabbits are born completely naked with their eyes closed in a warren under the ground. And there's actually quite a nice term for this. So a hare is precocial, and a rabbit is altricial. So obviously precocial comes from precocious. Let me just try. I don't want to scare him. I'm going to roll the car because he's so close. He's getting into frame. There we go. There we go. Cheeky little guy. So I think I heard Shanae and Penny got that right. The difference between hares and rabbits. I'm sure there are quite a few others of you who also got it right, but they were the first two in.
Brian sending it by. Last question for incoming.
This is a very cute little guy. We're actually sitting almost in the middle of the herd. And as I said, it all depends on the individual herds how we would do that. You can just judge by the adult females. I've actually seen this herd quite a few times, so I know they are quite relaxed. And their body language has told me that they're relaxed and they don't mind our presence. And even with the youngster who's away, he wants to be a circus elephant. No, I'm only joking. He's much happier and healthier out here in the bush. I'm going to try and move back again because he's literally laying down so close to the car, I can't even see him. There we go. He is a wonderful, wonderful little character on this little bull. He keeps coming so close to us that we have to keep moving away from him. So Samantha, I would love to do that height comparison for you, but obviously I don't want to get out of the car in the middle of a herd of Ellies. But I will try to do it this afternoon on the Sunset Safari if you are watching. If not, just definitely send the question in again, maybe on the Sunrise Safari tomorrow, and I will try my best. But we're having such a good time with these Ellies, I don't want to drive away, especially when we've got these youngsters playing. So I think we're best to sit here. And the frog's surprise as well, I'm afraid is going to have to wait till the Sunset Safari. There's just, it would be such a travesty to take any limelight off these little Ellies that we're spending time with at the moment. So it's been an interesting morning for us out here. It has been quite quiet in terms of game and general game and predator species. It was a cool misty morning, and quite a lot of your sort of general game would have been resting up and only getting moving later. We did have that quite exciting brief time with that hyena that was running up and down the road, sniffing, quite excited, trying to figure out what was going on. And that was quite interesting. And it's a nice close off to the story of the Djuma pride and that hippo that they killed a couple of days ago. I heard later that someone did find tracks of the pride, and they have moved north of our boundary. But now, we've had a chance today to focus on a lot of the smaller and more interesting things that we sometimes are very lucky we don't have to, because we are surrounded by these amazing animals that we live with. But luckily now, for the last sort of half an hour or so, we've been with this fantastic herd of elephants. And all of you guys who've joined us for the Sunrise Safari, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our vehicle with us and joining us for a game drive here at Djuma in the Sabi Sands of South Africa. So I'm hoping to have a lot of you with us this afternoon. I'm going to say goodbye, and for the last minute, I think we should just enjoy this fantastic elephant sighting that we're experiencing. So over to the elephants, and have a wonderful evening or morning or whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are.